Hello everyone, and welcome to the SaturdayMP Show, episode number 25, being recorded live December 20th, 2023. This is a show that helps you ship secure, high-quality software faster. You'll get software out the door on time and under budget. And today, we're going to focus on the secure side of our mission statement there, by attacking a vulnerable Blazor application and showing how to fix them. And this is all based on a talk I gave to the Edmonton .NET Users Group earlier this month. Excuse me. I gave earlier this month. And so this is a recording of the talk. So here's, if you're interested, if you're in the Edmonton and surrounding areas and you want to learn about .NET, meet other people that are working the Windows ecosystem, I'd recommend that you join the Edmonton .NET Users Group, EDMUG for short. And this is a really old picture, but this is me right standing over there, in case anyone's ever wondering what I look like. So yeah, and then the talk I gave is down here. Oh, I have to log in to see the details of it apparently. And for this example, the Blazor application we're going to be using, if you want to follow along, can be found under the SaturdayMP-examples TPS report uploader GitHub. And inside of there, you'll find the instructions on how to set it up. We'll go through some of these through the video. And then there's also a walkthrough of all the vulnerabilities and how you can fix them. So this is kind of my first example at a capture the flag event. Or not event, but a capture the flag, like little mini capture the flag that I custom wrote instead of using Rough Hack the Box. So yeah, if you have any feedback, I guess, yeah, let's, sorry. Can I click it? There we go. Aha. All right. So if you have any feedback or anything, you can send me, Chris, an email at ask@SaturdayMP.com. Or if you have any future questions you want me to answer in a future video, you can also send those to ask@SaturdayMP.com. Or you could do the whole, comments down below. That's always much appreciated. If you're watching this on YouTube, shoot me a question in the comments. Because in the last video, I actually answered someone's question. We had a little some questions and answers about Docker Compose Watch, the new Docker Compose Watch feature. So you can check that out in episode 24 and a couple of previous episodes where I answered a couple questions. So, all right, and I guess too, before we go too far, this is, if everything goes according to plan, I'm recording this before Christmas. So I usually record one video a week, but I'm recording 2 this week because, well, it's Christmas next week. So I want to get this pre-recorded. So if you're watching this live, I hope you had a great Christmas. It should come out sometime between Christmas and New Year. So I hope you had a great Christmas or whatever holiday you're celebrating, even if it's just a nice break. And that I hope your upcoming New Year is 2024 is going to go well. I'm kind of excited for 2024. I think it'll be a great year. So, but I'm kind of an optimist to begin with. So yeah, I think that's all the bookkeeping. All right, let's jump right into this. We don't need that anymore. Oops. That. So what I will do for this is basically we're just going to go through the walkthrough, but I'll do a couple things about the setup in case people, like, I'll have a link here. Once I've uploaded this video, I'll put a link to the video in the GitHub repo. So if you're watching this from the GitHub repo, I'll go through a couple of the setup steps here. I won't do everything like how to install an IDE or .NET or anything, but we'll go through setting up Burp Suite and making sure the application's all set up. So, which I think I have it set up pretty nicely. If you do spot any errors or issues or have any feature requests or something you think I should improve upon, you can open an issue or a pull request in the SaturdayMP examples, and then I will see it and address it if it's a good suggestion or a bug or something like that. So, and then also let me know if you find this useful. As I've added a couple, I usually capture the flag, so I added a couple flags, but if people find it useful, I might add a couple additional ones, so additional flags. So some of this capture the flag is going to be similar to most other capture the flags, like if you're trying to do through any website, PHP or Rails or Node or something. But there's a couple things that are kind of specific to the way Blazor works, because Blazor uses a WebSocket, and that's where you need a special setup for Burp Suite so you can interpret the way the WebSocket communication happens back and forth. So that makes it a little bit unique as opposed to kind of most of the other capture the flags or, kind of practicing vulnerability penetration testing. Most of the websites don't use WebSockets or anything like that, at least in my experience. So, okay, so what else did I want to say? I think that's about it. So to start, you're going to need to clone this repository. So I've already done that. I've cloned the repository. I haven't ran anything in it yet, but I've just cloned it. You're also going to need to install Burp Suite, which, I guess I just spotted an issue there. I should probably put a link to Burp Suite here. But you'll need to install Burp Suite, and you can get this free community edition. Will work just fine for this, but there's also a paid version. So if you go to products here, I think you want this community edition. So it's really nice of PortSwagger to have a free community edition that you can use. So you can go straight to the downloads. So you don't have to enter your name. And then, of course, you'll install whatever version you want. So you just download it and install it. And then once you have it installed, you want to, I guess I might as well show it now. Once you have Burp Suite set up or installed, you're going to want to install the Blazor. It's a community extension. It's a Blazor traffic processor extension, which you can find in the PortSwagger. What do they call it? The B App Store. So I don't download it from here. The easier way to do it is to go inside of Burp Suite and then, oh no, I have to remember exactly where it is. Under the extensions here. Yeah. So there's the extensions, and then you can add one. Oops, sorry. Yes, I want to exit the wizard. Sorry, go to the App Store here, and here's all the extensions, and then you just search for Blazor, and there it is right there. So, and what this extension will do is it will, because by default, Burp Suite will show the WebSocket communication, but when you try to edit it inside of Burp Suite, like you could see some of it, and you try to edit the hex, for some reason, at least I couldn't figure out, Burp Suite won't interpret that correctly. So when the WebSocket actually makes it back to the server will complain that it's formatted invalid format, and this just lets you capture that WebSocket and actually edit it. So you translate it from Blazor to JSON, edit the JSON, and then translate it back into Blazor WebSocket. So, and it also has some nice abilities. So instead of having inside of the so you have HTTP and WebSockets history, it just puts all the Blazor traffic in HTTP history as well, but it highlights it blue so you know the difference. So you're going to want to set that up. And then the next thing you're going to want to set up is Docker. I'd recommend setting up Docker. If you don't, I'm assuming most people have Docker set up on their machines, and that's just so we can run this tool called GoBuster. If you don't have Docker set up, you'll have to install GoBuster through whatever other means you would like. I'm going to use the Docker example, but there's lots of other ways to install GoBuster. If you go to their site, right, so they have the Docker image, that's what we're going to use. You install using Go, build from source. You get down, you can find the binaries on their releases page here. So there's a bunch of binaries there if you just want to install them from there. Yeah, I'd recommend using the Docker one. That's the easiest way to do it. And then, whoops, we need this back here. And then the actual application itself. So after you've cloned the repository, like I'm going to use Rider, but you can use this in Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code, kind of whatever editor you want. You just need .NET 8. So this is .NET 8 Blazor app, and you'll need Entity Framework 8 installed. So that you'll have to just go to the Microsoft, just Google that and install them. Actually, you'll install .NET 8, and then you'll run the, I think you have to run, I forget now. You have to run a command to install Entity Framework, but if you Google it, you'll see how to install it. And then if you're running this on Windows, this is designed to run on Linux. You'll have to change the data source, so I can show you where that is. Go look under data. Oops, sorry, app settings.json. There we are. Right, you'll just need to change, if you're running this on Windows, you need to change this to a double slash like that. All right, and then, so yeah, this is where we'll start, because we haven't created the database yet. And then we're going to use an SQLite database. Excuse me. Yeah, so we'll just use an SQLite database, and we use .NET to do that. So, all right, let's go with that next step there. Where's my terminal? So we can go back to the README here. We can just go to this view. All right, so we need to go into the actual project itself, and then .NET Entity Framework, database update. So this will create the SQLite database for us. And it'll also initialize some, because there's kind of, this little example application has a file upload and a file download features. And so it will pre-populate with some fields there. So it's done. So if you go look in data, we have our SQLite database there. And then if we go look under www-root, oh, isn't it? Uh-oh, did I not? Am I not on the latest version? Let me check. Maybe I screwed this up already. Because all the, if you look under seed here, am I at the right one? Oh yeah, it should have created everything. Maybe it's just not updating this. All right, if we just ls here, we have oh, it didn't create my folders for me. All right, well, maybe we will be restarting this video because I don't know why it didn't create these reports. Oh, it's because I haven't run it. Oh, okay, sorry. I created the database. Never mind. Sorry, the database exists, but these reports and the actual seed data will get populated the first time you run it. So if we click run, up at the top there. Whew. All right, that was a little embarrassing. Now, if we go look here, it should, yeah, there we go. There's the uploads. So some files in the uploads there, and just some files to pre-populate with. And the whole idea is this application is the TPS report uploader based off of the Office-based TPS reports. So the idea is we're going to try and get into the system. So this is kind of, the idea is this is released really quickly and it's still in beta, as you can see up here. And there could be some vulnerabilities that we could take advantage of. So this is just going to be pretty much a straight walkthrough. So if you don't want any spoilers, you could try, I would recommend stopping the video now and then you can go and just play around with it yourself. But if you've tried it or you just want to do the entire walkthrough, then just keep watching. Because I'll say right off the bat, there's no vulnerabilities. There's no like SQL injection enabled for the login. So there's nothing set up there. So we're going to have to find a different way to get kind of a foothold inside of this application. And then if you're, maybe I'll just bring it up here. So again, if you want, there's the walkthrough here. All right. All right. So, and our goal is to find the TPS reports for Samir. He was one of the characters in Office Space. And there's 2 flags that we're looking for here. So, you know, assuming that you poke around the application, you don't find anything wrong with the login, doesn't seem to be much else we can do with it. One of the things I like to do when I'm exploring if an application, or even just running it on some of my own, or just to see what's set up, is a tool called GoBuster, or any other type of similar tools. And what they basically do is take a word list of possible directories and subdirectories and files, and just sees if the web server responds to them. So, and this is trying to look for maybe a misconfigured web server, or a misconfigured or like an access, like something that should be protected, but for some reason it's not. It's publicly available. So we'll use GoBuster to do that, and we'll use Docker, the Docker image, to run GoBuster. And so the way, the other thing I should point out is that attacking this application is mostly based, it's kind of a code-based weaknesses, because this is for the Edmonton .NET Users Group. So we're not really going to focus on like SSH or like a actual web server configuration issue. This is all like kind of code-related issues that we can fix by updating our .NET Blazor code. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to run GoBuster, and there's the command here. So let's open up our terminal and just clear that. All right, so GoBuster. So the first part is just Docker Compose. We want to run a container or a service called GoBuster. This RM just removes it after, so we don't have a container taking up space after. GoBuster accepts several different commands, so will search directories, like website directories, but it will also do DNS entries and stuff like that. So this dir just tells it that we want to do website directories. This is the host that we want to attack. So in our case, because we're running inside of a Docker container, we can't just use localhost because we're inside the Docker container. We need to use this host Docker internal, which says use localhost on the host that's running Docker, and then of course this is the port that we're running. You can see that here, right? And then this -w is a word list that we want to use. So a lot of these tools, like password crackers or stuff that'll iterate over directories or whatever, they need a list of the directories or whatever, like passwords and stuff they should use. And so you can get and those word lists you can create your own, of course, but you can find a bunch of the one I use. So other ones too is this seclist. So it's just a GitHub repository, and it's got lists for passwords, pattern matching, all sorts of like usernames, stuff like that. The one we're going to use is in Discovery. I actually have it. We don't need to actually download it here because it's in the TPS report uploader repo. But just so people can see, so there's a bunch of different ones in here. Web content, and yeah, you can find a bunch of different actually interesting lists. We're using, I can't remember which one we're using now. Common, yeah, this common.txt is the one we're using. And then I cleaned up the list. I'm not going to click it here because there's a lot of like swear words and like dirty words for passwords. So I cleaned up the word list a little bit. I use this common word list, but cleaned up the first first couple word lists that are going to show up, just so to get rid of all the swears and the dirty language. But as you can see, there's tons of lists in here you can use. And some of them are from known vulnerabilities. Other ones are just ones people have put together. So that's a great resource, the SecList GitHub repository. And then, of course, if you search around, you can find other ones. So in this case, we have this word list. If you look under this word list folder in the root of the repository, it's this common web directories one here. I just renamed it too, just so you don't get confused with the password one. So let's just run this command and let's see what happens. Oh, and I don't think I've ran this before for a while. So the first time it's probably going to need to download the GoBuster image. Yeah, there it goes. So the first time you run it, it will pull down the Docker image of GoBuster. But then second time, additional times you run it, it won't have to pull that image down. All right, so you can see the results here. So it didn't find much, but it did find there's a /changelog that's available to us. So, so that's interesting. Oh, I guess one other thing I should point out too is that this ran really fast because it's all in the same network. Like if I run this on, I think this will work. If I run this, say, on my own website, see if this will work. Oh, I'm getting some sort of weird. For non-existing URLs. Oh, that's so weird. Yeah, that doesn't exist. Huh. Okay, so anyway, if you run it on like a real website, it's going to take a lot longer. Because it has to go over the internet. The other thing to note is you don't want to, you don't want to just start running GoBuster on random websites because your IP will probably get blocked or bad other things should happen. So I guess a little bit of a disclaimer is that you should, only do this hacking on systems you have permission to do it on or that you own or something like that. So. All right, I just noticed this is this guy's at Firefart. That's actually that's funny. All right, okay, but anyway, so let's go back to here. All right, so we found the changelog. So if we go back to our application here, and we go to /changelog. Oh, this is accessible. Okay, so that's interesting. And now we can read the changelog here, and we can kind of see that they did a beta release, so some people could do some testing. They loaded some additional beta users. They updated the password length to be greater than 12 now. They updated one person's password, but they didn't update Tom, so that's interesting. And then, of course, they fixed some issues. They fixed some more issues. They couldn't spell ability right, apparently. I'll have to fix that. And then here's some notes that they haven't released 1.1 because we're still on 0.92 beta, that they need to update Tom's password. And that their username, they also need to update their username because right now it appears that they're just using different usernames. Because if we go look here, it uses a different count than your Initech Windows. Right. They try to keep the usernames the same, which is your first name followed by a number to prevent duplicate usernames. So like Joe123. Right, and then we could check the changelog to see what we're working on next. So if we go back to our changelog, it seems like our guess, we could probably, like Samir seems like he has pretty good, but Tom, probably has a weak password. So And so this is kind of representing if you figure out that someone has, the next step, I guess, is, well, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. So how would you fix this in Blazor? Basically, this changelog shouldn't be publicly accessible. It's, should be only available to logged in users. And so if we go look where to fix it, so I even have the fixes inside this walkthrough. So if we go to this changelog.razor page, do this, and then let's see if the supply changes works or not. Sometimes it doesn't work for me. All right, so now it should have applied the changes. Now, hopefully, yeah. So now we can't get to the changelog. Like, it redirected us to the login page. You can see here, it just set the return URL to changelog. So that's fixed now. So now nobody should be able to see that changelog. And so it's just kind of a reminder that when you have pages, you should check to make sure that that authorization is set up correctly, that only if there's pages the public shouldn't see, that they are correctly hidden. So you add the authorize attribute. The other way to kind of fix that is to have all the pages in Blazor, at least, is to have all the pages inherit from an index. So if you, not data, under components. So right now all these pages are just in here. So you might want to have, well, we don't want, see, this is be a little tricky because you might want pages and then you might need to create a separate either group or something under pages, like logged in. And then from there you could have your, so like, let's see, does the account have it set up? No, I cleaned up the account, but you can have that index. I don't have any ones here. Or sorry, the imports Razor. And then there you could force it to authorize all the pages that inherit from it. So it's another way to fix it. But basically make sure that you have your authorization set up correctly. Okay, but we know this is vulnerable. So let's, all right. So now that we know the username, so say you got a username either through, like in this kind of cheesy example, through the changelog and stuff, but maybe you found a username from some other way, and they maybe don't have the best password management. We could try to brute force their login. So there's several tools to do this, but in this case, we're just going to use Burp Suite to do it. So to do that, we're just going to have Burp Suite here. Excuse me. And then let's set it up like this. So Burp Suite has its own browser. All right, so there's the Burp Suite browser. And what happens is Burp Suite is like a proxy that sits between your browser and the site you're going to. So any requests we make to this Blazor application are first going to go to Burp Suite, and then Burp Suite's going to forward it on to the Blazor application, or whatever website you're going to go to. Not that one. Was it 262? Yeah, there we go. So as you can see here, Burp Suite's going to intercept all those commands, and then we can see exactly what it was. So it's a little kind of squished here on this page, but you can see this is a request that was sent, and then we got response back. So we got an anti-forgery cookie, and here's all the text, right? Like all the text on the left and the right. So you can see the response. We could see the headers if we wanted to. Like you get all the information here, which you can kind of get also from Chrome's debugger tools, but Burp Suite, I just find the intercept ability is probably its biggest thing, because we can also later on we'll show that we can pause these requests and change them on the fly. All right, but in this case, we want to capture a login request. So let's go to the login page, and let's just put an email in here of, say, Tom. Well, let's see, if this is password, I just put the password or password. Let's see. Login. Okay, no, error, invalid login. Okay, so that didn't work. So we can see here that this was so there was the get for the login account page, and here's the post. So here's all the post data. We got our anti-forgery cookie and token that we sent, and then the response back. And then if you look down here, you can see that, so the parameters are passing in, or this handler is home. Request verification token is this. and then the input email is Tom, and then the input password is password. So to brute force this with Burp Suite, we're going to send this to intruder tab. So if you see the intruder tab up here. All right, so this is the request that we sent. And what intruder does is just going to send the same request over and over and over again, but it will swap out one of the variables. So in this case, we want to swap out the password because we know the usernames. We know a username. We know it's Tom because they haven't had a chance to add their numbers to the end yet. So we're going to make the password. So the way Burp Suite works is you put these weird funny characters around it, which I don't even know what they are, but you put it around it. The word itself doesn't matter. It can be any word you want. But these characters around it, that's going to be substituted by your payload. And our payload is going to be a password list. Oh, okay. So desktop, I'm going to go to repositories. Again, you can use any password list you want, but I'm just going to use the one set up for this, which is the TPS reports. Under the word list folder, there we are. And in this case, the 10K most common password. So we're not going to go through all 10K passwords in this case, but right, and you can see some of the like these are like some of the very common passwords that are used. Right, so Superman 1234 1111 stuff like that. All right, so now that we have that all set up, we can start the attack. So again, it's going to send this request. It's going to replace the password with the password in the payload, and we'll see what happens. Oh, this is Community Edition, so it throttles itself. Again, you don't run a brute force attack on some other website, like your IP will get banned and other bad things could happen to you. You definitely don't want to do that. Okay, so let's see, some requests are going through here. Now, if we look at just one, so we can see this is a request. Here's the email of Tom. Well, that's the password part. Let's do the 123456. So there's the password it's sent. And then if we look, we can see the response here. And so this was just okay. I'm just going to pause. There's no point in me keep running this. So this was an okay response. And that's what we got back here when we got an invalid login was okay. And then if we scroll down, we should see there's our error invalid login attempt. And we can see the error status code and the length. But if we scroll down a bit more, we notice one's a little bit different than the others. This one here. So oftentimes with the brute forcing with Burp Suite, you're going to look for either two things. One, the content length is different. So in this case, we got a much bigger content length, or the status code. Those are the two things. So I haven't used Burp Suite for brute forcing too often, but those are the two things that I tend to look for. Other password like command line tools will sometimes have a little check to say like, hey, if I don't see this error invalid login attempt, then I'll assume it's a successful login. So they'll have checks like that, and they might just stop once they found a login. But to the best of my knowledge, Burp Suite doesn't. So, but anyway, okay. So we found it looks like QWERTY should work. And so what happens when we have a successful login is we get a 302, which is a redirect, and we could tell this is where it's going to redirect us to, back to the home page. So looking here, one thing we'll notice is we won't see this error invalid login attempt. So we don't see that anywhere. So that's another way that we know this was a success. And then finally, of course, we can try it. So if we go here, QWERTY, boom, login. All right, now we're logged in. So now we can see all the stuff that when we're logged in. And if we go look, let's just discard that. That's fine. If we go look at our proxy here, we can see we successfully logged in. So like here's upload report menu item there. So yeah, so it looks like we have Okay, I guess before we get too far, there's a couple different ways to protect against a brute force attack. Some of the options outside of the scope of this discussion are like your web server itself you can set up rate limiting on it. So at least with Nginx and Apache, I'm sure you could do this with IIS. I just have never done it with IIS. You can rate limit the amount of requests that you'll allow from one IP address. And you can also set it up for some operating systems. So for example, in the past, I've set up Nginx to rate limit requests, and then I use another tool called fail to ban to actually ban an IP address if they send too many. If Nginx rate limits them too many times, and fail to ban will kick in, and that just updates the firewall rule to permanently ban them. But then there's also things like Cloudflare and other hosting web cloud providers will have rate limiting options. So if you want to see I think I have a link to it. Oops. Let's see. So if you wanted to see the Nginx example, I created a video. Oh, actually, I can just go here. And in the SaturdayMP examples, there's this rate limiting with Nginx and fail to ban. So if you want to check that out. And there's also a video here, same kind of deal as this one. You can find the YouTube video there. But it just uses Nginx and fail to ban to give you an idea of how it would work. Okay, so now let's fix that problem. So how do we fix that problem? In this case for Blazor, what happened is, if we look at the actual code, it looks like the actual code has pages. So just so people know too, this account and this login and stuff, this is all the Microsoft identity, like when you create a new Blazor template. This is a lot of those default files, and I just removed the ones I wasn't going to use. They created a whole bunch of files for like third-party logins and stuff. I get rid of those. But if you actually look at the Blazor code, so here it is, the login user. And this is where it tries to sign in. So there's the email, the password, if you want to remember. So this lockout on failure is set to true. Oh, that's interesting. That looks like lockout's enabled. And also if you go look in the program, if we go look here, we can see that lockout is actually enabled. And also there's password requirements are also enabled, like the password length has to be at least 12, but QWERTY is clearly not 12. So it should have locked us out after five attempts. But this is kind of the kicker with the Microsoft identity, is that this flag allowed for new users is true, but that means existing users won't be locked out by default. So to fix this, so if you do realize this is a problem with your Windows, so the Microsoft identity is not just a Blazor thing, you might be using it for ASP.NET or other applications. If you realize, oh, I have I don't lock people out after they failed their login so many times, and you want to turn it on, it will only affect new users that are created. Old users, you actually have to manually go into the database and update them. So in this case, we'll go into our SQLite database. Right, I have to connect it. So you can use any, I'm just using the whole JetBrains kind of built-in tools and everything, but you could use any database viewer you want to view the SQLite database. So if we go look at the database, obviously you don't know all these tables exist here, but you will know if they're using Microsoft Identity, you will know that there's an ASP.NET users table, or at least that's probably what it's called. So let's just see everything in this table. All right, so we can see, again, if you were doing this without the walkthrough, without the fix, you can see that Tom and Samir don't have numbers at the end of their names. So like the standard login, any tech requires numbers because there's probably like a bunch of Peters and a bunch of Chris's and Bills. But when they created this new application, because it wasn't part of their domain or whatever, they had their own separate logins. But the thing we're interested in here is this lockout enabled. So you'll notice the lockout end is actually like it actually filled in a value here for this is for Tom. If we go back there, there's Tom. But because lockout enabled is not true, it doesn't lock them out. So if we turn this on and we turn this on, I guess we don't have to do it for smear, we might as well. And then we put this to, oh, how do I put null in here? Can I? Set to null, there we go. So if we set these two to null, and then I need to save this, there we go. All right, so that's saved to the database. So now if we try and run our brute force, it's not going to work. So let's run that again. So we'll go back to our, oops, we got to log out and everything here. Let's go back here. Let's log out. Let's just clear all the, let's clear all these. Yes. So let's go back to the login. So if we do Tom, the reason I'm doing this is because I want to make sure I have the correct the authentication cookies that are sent back and forth, because it probably gave me new authentication cookies. So let's take a look. Let's send this to intruder. Boom. So if we go look at 2 here, and we go look at the anti-forgery cookie, what does it end in? TCU? What about this one? Oh, it also ends in TC. Is it the same one? I would have thought it would have given us a different... Oh, sorry, it gave us the cookie's the same, but it gave us a different request verification token. So you can see this request verification token down here is different. I think. Yeah, what is it? KU4. Yeah, KU4. Yeah, so that's different. So the cookie's the same, but the request verification token is different. So if we were to try it with the old one, it would reject it because this verification token doesn't match. So, all right. So, oh, we need payloads. Let's load it up. We're doing passwords. All right, and then let's just start this attack. Oh, whoops! I forgot to set the password as the payload amount, or as the payload variable. So, okay, and then we'll let it do its thing. Well, we'll just let it go. Like once it could pass. So one thing we notice right off the bat, like we could just pause this now. We don't have to go very far. Is you're going to notice there's a couple successes, and then we start getting these 302s. And the reason we're getting these 302s is it's trying to redirect us because the login failed. So if we look at, so if we try it here, like if we try and log in now, let's put a fake password in there. Boom. It's going to take us to this account lockout page. So where... oh, sorry, that's the request. Here's the response. Right, it's 302. It's taking us to this account lockout page. So the first couple times we just got like the failed login, right? Error, invalid login attempt. And then after that, we started getting the. It didn't actually, like we got the redirect, so that's why the page looks the same because the browser should have redirected us right away, but. We're just getting the account lockouts there. So that's how you fix that issue. All right, so I need to go back here. I need to refresh that, and then I need to clear this. Otherwise, I won't be able to set to null. I won't be able to log in anymore as Tom. All right, now let's go back to log in. Tom. Security. Okay, so now we're logged in. Great. So when we poke around here, we can see we can download reports. We can, I think I don't, it's hiding the bottom there. Let me see if I can show the bottom of this page where the links would show up. Oh, in this case, they're not going to show up. I can upload a report. I can view the change log, which I should, this is supposed to be hidden anyway. And of course I can, log out. Oh, log out does it for me right away. Let's log back in. All right, so the next vulnerability that we end up finding is we're actually going to find out that files are publicly accessible. And we'll do this by just trying to upload a file. So if we just upload a file, let's just pick, sure, upload my Docker Compose file. Okay, so we notice that it uploaded a file. It renamed it. So it did the smart thing. It didn't use our file path, because that's usually a bad thing. It took whatever file we loaded and uploaded it. And if we look at this address, though, so that's basically the Docker Compose file, but whatever report we uploaded. And I'm just using TXT files just because they make this example a lot easier. Probably in real life, these would be PDFs or Word documents or something like that. But we noticed it put it in an uploads path with this kind of very predictable name here. And then if we try and upload a new file, like it looks like if we upload a different file, it's just going to replace it. So let's upload, sure, index. Okay, now if we refresh this, yeah, okay. So all it did was just, it replaced our existing file. So this is a path that we could probably guess. So we know, like, let's like put the username and then put tps report.txt. So this is their daily TPS report that they've uploaded, or the latest one. And it doesn't look like, it looks like after a while, maybe they'll get processed and put over here in some separate location. But for now, we can notice that. So, and this is something I've seen with clients, is that these files in this uploads folder are actually all publicly accessible. So if we know, remember we're looking for the we want to find all the TPS reports for Samir. So if we try just changing his name, well, actually first things first, like we just try uploads. Okay, it's not going to let us do that. Oops. So that's good. It doesn't, at least it won't list the entire directory contents. But what happens if we try changing the name to Samir? So we have another username, and let's change it. And there we go. We got the TPS report for Samir, and we found our first flag. So this TPS report hasn't been processed yet. But yeah, so these are all, I guess I should show that this is accessible even when you're not logged in. So let's open up, well, let's just bring Firefox over here. So I'm not logged in here. And then if we go here, there you go. TPS report for Samir has not yet been processed. So this is accessible to the public. You don't have to be logged in to find these files. You do have to know the name, but if you upload, if you have stuff in a public folder that is anyway guessable with these names, and even if the other thing, remember we brute forced some of those directories. If I know this thing's in an uploads folder, I can try just to brute force to find files in it as well. So a lot of times, like, these might be IDs of users, like maybe they're sequential IDs or the date or something. If anything that people can guess in a public folder, that's a bad idea, because then anyone can download it. In this particular case, they all just live in the www root folder. So anything in this folder is publicly accessible. But usually you just have things that should be publicly accessible, like your app.css, maybe some Java, there's no JavaScript here, just more CSS in there. You know, the fave icon. So we can see that too if we go to, oops, wrong one. You know, if we just go to fave icon.png, like there's the fave icon, there's the Blazor favorite icon. If we do app.css. So it's not a big deal that app.css is publicly because the browser needs this. But I have seen clients upload files into directories that are publicly accessible to everyone. And that is something you should not do, especially if it contains any type of sensitive data. Like if you had like maybe your privacy policy here, again, something everyone can view, it's fine. Throw it in your www root, or like Nginx or Apache usually it's in or other web frameworks, it's usually in a /public folder. That's fine. But any customer sensitive upload should not be in www root. So we don't actually show a fix for this, which takes a little bit more coding than I want to do for the demo, is to not upload files to www root. Put it outside of the root folder. So put it outside of your website or not in your public folder is the fix for that. There's no real coding fix for that particular one. All right. So that's what, 3 vulnerabilities now? All right. So there we talk about the lockout fix, files in a publicly accessible folder. So talk about the fix of that. So now another thing that I've seen, have I seen this? I'm trying to think if I've seen this one with clients. I don't know if I've actually seen this one with clients, but I definitely heard about it in the wild. This is when you're logged in, like say I'm logged in as Chris, I can see the information for Jen if I just switch, if I'm able to somehow there's not checking to see. The only checks that exist in the app is if you're authenticated. They're not checking to see if you, Chris, have particular access to this PDF or to this information. And so that's quite common as well. So, oh yeah, the other thing I forgot to mention too is if you're looking for font, not top 20, it's only top 10. If you're looking for vulnerabilities in your application, it's a good idea. Like this OS has a top 10 list of vulnerabilities. So you can find them starting from 1 down to 10 here. And broken access control, that's the one we're talking about right now. For pretty much most of this demo is broken access control. And that is such a big issue. Just number one, as you can see, there's many ways to exploit it. So that's kind of how I based this application. I just kind of picked the number one, I guess 2 cryptography failures. It's kind of like brute forcing your password is number 2. So I basically picked those 2 and just was able to have enough for an hour-long demo. All right, so in this case, we're actually going to use some of the Blazor specific Burp Suite features, which we haven't used any of them yet. Because the pages we've looked at so far in Blazor don't send anything over the WebSockets, but this next page will. So if we go back to our website. All right, so we've got the one report for Samir, the one he uploaded today, but we want his past ones. So we can see Tom's process reports here. Right, there's Tom. Now this one, when I hover over, I don't see a link down at the bottom. So I don't think this is a link. So let's just verify that. Like that's not a link in a publicly accessible folder. Doop. Let's just go here. All right, so this is a button. Okay. And on click, it's going to call download file, the name of the file. And that just has a button there. So if we look at the download file, yeah, there we are. So there's the download file code. So it looks like it's using some .NET. Oh yeah, so this is a feature of Blazor, maybe in ASP.NET too, is where you can actually, from JavaScript, you can invoke .NET methods in here. And so basically this is what this is doing. It's taking the file name as the argument, and it's, looks like it's creating some blob, and then it's temporarily creating an href element and then downloading it, and so yeah, so that's how that works. So don't need this. This is useful to know, but to actually figure this out, probably the most useful thing for this vulnerability is if you see the fact that it's looking at this file name. This is probably the most interesting thing here, because then what we can do is we can try to change this file name to something else and see what we can download. So let's just click this one to see what we get. All right, so we got that. One thing I will do is I'm going to, all right, let's bring up Visual Studio Code here again. All right, I don't need my intro text anymore. Let's open a folder. And let's just open up the downloads folder. No, it's fine. I need to save it. No, let's not trust the authors. Oh, that's really big still. There we go. Make that a little smaller. Right, so we can see in the downloads folder, this is the only file. The open editors is the only file we have. Is just the one. So this is the one we downloaded for Tom here. And that was the 1210.txt. Okay, so the way we're going to try to do this is through, where's my burp suite again? Burp suite, here we go. Oh, I want to get out of intruder. No, discard. All right, let's go back to the proxy. And here we're going to see all these kind of green, blue, I don't know, indigo, whatever you call this. These are actually the WebSocket commands. And if you look down at the bottom here, you can see that all this gobbledygook, all this weird WebSocket stuff. And so there's a whole bunch. You can see there's tons of communication back and forth with WebSockets. It's a very chatty protocol, like it just doesn't sit there and wait. So let's clear this history. Yes. And then let's refresh this page. There we go. So we could see there's a bunch of requests there. Actually, let's clear out this, because what I'm really interested in is, yes, I'm going to click this second one, this 1211 one. And let's see what we get in here. Okay, so we can make this, sorry, I keep flipping back and forth, it's probably hard to watch. All right, so I downloaded another one. You saw it appear up here. All right, we see our downloads there. And now you can see the post request. So here's the post request that came in. It's got our anti-forgery cookies and stuff like that. But what we're really interested in is this bottom part. We can even see here that there's this Tom TPS report. Now, when I was originally doing up this demo, I just tried editing this. But when I sent it, I would get an invalid, when I would edit this, I would get an invalid message back from, I guess from Blazor. Well, let's try it. Let's see. So to do that, to edit it, what I actually have to do is I need to go to intercept, and I need to turn this on. There we go. Now if we go back here and we try and download, let's download the 12 one. Now it's going to stop here. So now I can edit this if I want. So I'm going to try, oh, it actually won't let me edit it. What's going on here? Oh, sorry, I got to edit in this one, not in the history tab, my mistake. If we change this to Samir, is this going to work? Yeah, so we got unexpected error downloading file. So, and then of course, it's a very chatty protocol. So I'm just going to turn that intercept off there too. And if we go look at our application under the run, so we could see where, here we are. So we could see it here, and it looked like everything was okay, but for whatever reason, I can never get it to work by just sending it, by editing it directly in there. And I don't know why that is. So what I would do instead is, let's turn this into, let's just show a quick example of what we need to do, and then we'll do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this WebSocket code, and we're going to go to this BTP tab. So this is a tab that's only created if you install that Blazor extension, and we're going to put in the Blazor WebSocket stuff, and we're going to click this deserialize so we get Blazor to JSON, and we're going to see it looks like this. And what we want to do is we want to change this to Samir. It's not the best interface. You actually have to go back here and then delete this and put it here and serialize it again, and then we would go back to our proxy, and then we would change it in there. So that's what we're going to try and do real quick like. So let's see if we can get that to work. So let's clear this out again. The other thing you have to kind of do is be a little fast with this, because I think what happens, the other reason sometimes it doesn't work, is those WebSockets get closed on you. And when they close and get reopened, they get new IDs and stuff, so they don't work anymore. So, all right, so let's refresh this page. Let's clear this. Let's see if I can get this to work. This is always the interesting one. Okay, so intercept on, and I'll take this 13 one. So if we download this, now I have to be a little quick with this. So we're going to take that, we go here, boom, we're going to go to Blazor to JSON. Go back here, and then we put this back into Blazor. All right. Then we go down here, and then we'll just delete this here, and we'll put in our code there. And we're just going to forward that. And I don't know if you saw that, but oh yeah, there it is. It's up there. So that worked. So it looks like it downloaded. So the name is still Tom. So if we bring back Visual Studio here, remember that the 12 didn't work because I just tried editing the WebSocket code directly in Burp Suite without using the Blazor plugin. So this is Tom. This is Tom. So it gave us that file name of Tom, but if we look at the actual file, it says Samir. So yeah, there we go. So now we will be able to get Samir's TPS reports. And we can just repeat that kind of trick for all the ones. So we can kind of assume that, again, this is kind of, we're predicting that these are all the same. Like Samir has all these ones, or we could brute force it, we could guess. I think this is the one we want. Is this 16 actually? So I'm going to just see if that's where that flag is. I think that's one. Boom, boom. I think it was always in the 6th one or something like that. Yeah, so hopefully maybe someday they'll have a better interface for that. That's kind of clunky. And then we paste that there, and then we're just going to forward that on. Let's see if that worked. No, I don't think that worked. Oh, maybe it did. There we go. 16, right on. There we go. And there's this second flag. So, there, now you've captured all the flags. Now, the one other thing I want to show that's kind of interesting is we just got, like we just changed part of this though, but we can actually, because this code is somewhat insecure, you can actually find other things. So we can look for other known files. So if we go look, like an interesting file to download would be like, say, the app settings.json file, right? Because that's a file that often exists too when you do a production release, or if you know of other file names. But not inside. So the processed reports, this is where everyone's report lives. But we can start guessing at folders, and assuming we do some guessing of the folder structure, we could try to see if we can download another file. All right, what am I looking for? I wanted to go here, bring up Burp Suite again. Okay. Boom. So let's open up this. So what happens if we just did /app settings.json? Oh, I got a bug or something there. Dang it. Oh, am I missing a return? No. I had this problem once before. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, we'll just forward this on. Try it again here. All right. I know it takes a little while here because I think let's turn intercept off. Just let it do its thing because we're starting to time out here. So those WebSockets will time out on you after a while. Okay, so it looks like the page is back. All right, let's try this again. So I need intercept on. It's just gonna make sure both of these are completely empty. Okay. So let's turn this to Blazor to JSON. Go back to our proxy. Download. All right, so we caught it. And go here. There we go. Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah. See, this gets all screwed up for some reason. I think I have to close down Burp Suite, unfortunately, to make this behave. Yeah. All right, let's just kill Burp Suite. We'll try this again. Thanks, Burp Suite, for embarrassing me. All right, so yeah, we'll try and see if we can get the app.json file. And then that is basically going to wrap up this demo. Just going to take a minute or two here. Let's put you over in the corner again. All right. And then we need our browser. Let's go here. Log in. Oops. There we are. Process reports. Let's try and download. Let's try and intercept on. Try to download one. And let's go here. JSON. There we go. I think that clear button does something that messes things up. App settings.json. Oh, do I need 2 slashes here? Is that what I'm doing wrong? Oh, there we go. Maybe that's what I forgot. Okay, so if we go back here. And then let's forward that. Let's see if that works. Oh, unexpected error downloading file. Didn't work. Let's turn intercept off. Let me see if I can figure this out real quick. Otherwise, we'll just wrap it up. But basically, you can, by manipulating that file, you can find files all over the place that you want. Oh, am I putting the slash in the wrong way? I'm putting the slash the wrong way. Am I not? Oh yeah, okay. Duh. All right, let's try that again. I put the slash the wrong way. Intercept on. Oops. I wonder I can't download the file. Let's go here. Boom. App. No. // app. Settings.json. Let's take that thing back over here. And then we can go back to our. There. All right. It looked like it downloaded something over there. So we turn it just because we can see it there. Number 17. So if we go look at our file here, again, it's got the same name, but now we downloaded that app settings.json file. So again, this could have really valuable information like maybe API keys or something like that. So we even escaped outside of our current folder, and depending if the web server is running as root or what permissions the web server, like if this is a real live production, you could maybe get the / etc. passwords file or other information off of the server. So one way to fix it outside of making a code change fixing this issue is to make sure in production that your web server is not running as root. It has only permissions to it's running as a user that only has permissions to the files that it needs to serve and read, and that's it. But for a code fix, oops, sorry, give me a second here. For a code fix, we actually want to change it so that we follow. So actually this one was a little harder to set up because Blazor, oh, that's not it. Yeah, download files using Blazor. But basically, if you did this a proper Blazor way, it's actually pretty difficult because what you need is this file name. But to set it up the actual Blazor ways, we don't put the file name there. We put the file name it's by this @, and that just basically, from Blazor's point of view, that's like a template, and this never makes it to the client. So we'll show that in a second. So if you remember, I'm trying to think of the best way to show. So if we look here, we could see the actual file name. Let's go back to our developer tools, and we went here. Right, we can see the file name right here. We can see Tom dash. So as soon as we see a file name anywhere, that's always something we could try to attack by escaping the file and changing the file name to see if they actually handle it correctly. In Blazor, the way to fix that is to basically just follow their steps for just how to download files. So if you follow the steps there, and we'll turn this on here, is this actually never makes it to the client, this part here. What you're going to see is when we change this, you're going to get an on-click event, but it's just going to have like a number or something like that, like basically tell it what button was clicked. And then this script is it's pretty close to the script that, the vulnerable script, but it's slightly tweaked, but not too much. But the big change is anything you put for these and inside here, usually in Blazor does not make it to the client. So it's kind of a nice safety mechanism to prevent you from doing, well, something dumb like this. So let's go turn that on real quick, and then that'll be the end of this demo. So I need to go into the components, the pages, the process reports. So we have it all commented out here. Sure, let's just leave both of those. Do I have different names for this? This is download file. This is, okay, good. I do have different names, so I can leave them both there, I think. And then there's a method, yeah, this one here. So what the old one was doing is using this JS invocable. So this is a .NET method that is invocable from JavaScript, and that uses WebSocket. So the WebSocket will, when you saw that, not this is the original one, the vulnerable one. When you see this .NET invoke method async, it's going to make a kind of a WebSocket back to the server and look for a method called download file. It's kind of inside of this namespace. And it's going to, this method is basically a promise, and it's going to return the data. It's going to return the stream, the file stream, and then we just have to make the file stream into something the web browser can download. And in this case, we're not actually doing the JS invocable. And the secure, I don't want, that can still be commented out. This script here, this is pulled right from Microsoft's website there that I showed you earlier. We're not making a JS invoke call, but what's happening is in the secure method, on a click, we're going to call this JavaScript method, and we're going to pass in this report name. And we're going to use the script, but I'll show you that the file name doesn't actually appear there. So, okay, so we got that. Let's see. Will the supply changes work? No. Okay, so we have to restart. So let's just restart everything. That'll take a second. Okay, so we can restart that. Now we can see we have two. Oh, I didn't make this button very nice. I got to fix that, I guess. So we can have the two. We have the two buttons here. So you can see this one, just a button that just has a download button, and this one has the actual file name on it. So there's actually no file name to do anything with. And then if we look at the actual where's Burp Suite? So I'm going to click this download here. So if we go look at the history, that was, I clicked on 17 again. So if we go look, let's just clear this out. There's too much garbage going on here. Yes. All right, go away. Let's click on 15. All right, so now if we look at this one, oh, which one did I click on there? I clicked on the, let's clear all this out. Yes. Okay, if I click on this button, okay, there's a bunch of posts. There's a bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes there. But you can see there's not actual file name here or in any of these post requests. There's no file name, there's no file name, there's no file name. Right, there's nothing there. And if we look at this, so we might as well copy that. If we put it into here, oops, I hit the wrong button. Sorry. Let's go back. Let's try this again. Copy this, and then we want to do this. Boom. Right. So we can see here. There's nothing going on there, but it's just like it's passing just kind of a handler ID back, and that I'm not 100% familiar with Blazor, but I'm pretty sure what it's saying is this behind the scenes, the server knows that like all these buttons, I'm assuming, are going to have different IDs. And it's just telling kind of where the mouse was. So we get information about the mouse, but there's no actual file name for us to play around with. So we can't really do anything with this request back, as far as I can tell. If someone notices something different, let me know, but it's right from Microsoft's website. So I'm pretty sure that this downloading files. So you can find all the information here. So yeah, so basically that's everything for this application. Yeah, I guess this video went about a little bit shorter presentation because people ask questions partway through. So, but if you have any questions, so is there anything I want to do to wrap this up? I don't think so. Yeah, again, you could go, before I wrap it up, you can play around with this on the SaturdayMP examples TPS report uploader. So you can find the example here if you just want to play around and have some fun with it. Again, if you have any issues or you want enhancement or anything, you can open an issue. If you have any feedback about this little mini capture the flag or any advice, I'm not a Blazor expert actually. I had to learn. Kind of creating this example took a little bit longer than I thought with Blazor, especially when I ran into that WebSockets issue, because I was used to other applications where you don't have to worry about WebSockets. You could everything's just sent back and forth, very RESTful. It's not a continuous WebSocket back and forth. So if you notice anything with Blazor and other vulnerabilities or something, please, by all means, give me a shout. And you can do that by leaving comments below. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can also send an email to ask@SaturdayMP.com, SaturdayMP.com. You can also send me some constructive criticism and feedback there. No real mean stuff, please. Like, there's already enough mean people in the world. We don't need another one. So yeah, just don't be another mean person. If you're looking for additional security related stuff, OWASP has an OWASP Top 10. So broken access control, that's most of what we talked about today. Different ways of, once you're logged in as one person, to access files as another person, and cryptography failures. That's basically like weak passwords is one of those. They also have the top10.net. So they also have these cheat sheets, OWASP does, and they have them for all the frameworks, but for this one, of course, we're talking about .NET. So, these are really interesting, is that they talk about a lot of the kind of common configuration or issues that people can, like misconfigurations and bad coding practices that people can use. But I find the advice in these cheat sheets is really good because it's real hands-on advice. It's not like, just don't write insecure code. It's like, hey, no, like change this. Like, here's the settings you should use, right? Here's like, you should require SSL on cookies, right? Right here, protect against brute force attacks. You can use a reCAPTCHA or whatever. So, yeah, so I find these cheat sheets, really useful, like really hands-on. I guess sometimes they get a little hand-wavy, but a lot of the advice is really good. So check that out. So there's a .NET one there as well. And I think that's pretty much everything I want to say. So yeah, thank you again for watching. I really appreciate your time and attention. And if you found this useful, please share the video with someone else. You can like. So if you found this useful, you can SaturdayMP, right? You can just like click the subscribe button here, or on the videos, there's always the like and the share and all that stuff. Leave some comments. Oh yeah, there's another question I have to answer. There's a question down below. Yeah, that'd be much appreciated, just to help others find it. If you found it useful, probably someone else will. If you didn't find it useful, then yeah, I guess just don't bother sharing it. Yeah, so thank you very much. And like I said, I'm recording this hopefully this will be released between Christmas and New Year. So I hope you had a great holiday, or are having a great holiday season. And I will catch you in 2024. All the best. Take care.